Good Wednesday morning, Quad Cities. It is indeed Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. We are halfway through the work week, my friend.
We are halfway through, and I honestly, this is one of the few weeks I don't want to end. It's been so nice out.
Yeah, the weather's been fantastic.
It's been fabulous this week.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything. We've had 70s, we've had 60s, 50s. We're about to jump back into the 70s again tomorrow. But we got to talk about some severe weather. Because of all of this warmth too coming up. We're going to get to that in just a second, but first we want to welcome you into Ask Andrew Live. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzke. Alongside?
I'm weather anchor Peter Warner.
Yes, and we have a lot to talk about today.
We're going to be busy.
Oh yes, it's going to be a long Friday.
It's going to be fun.
For you, yeah, this will be your first run-in with severe weather, at least here.
At least here, since I've started
in the Quad Cities. You excited?
I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. I wish it was a little earlier, though. I still haven't been able to chase in the beast yet, and I really wanted it.
Yeah, this one coming in still a little bit after dark, so it looks like, the beast won't be out for this one. But still, something we want to keep track of, for sure.
Still a significant system making its way through.
Yeah, so we're going to take your questions in regards to that and everything weather-related only. If this is your first time in, welcome. We do this every Wednesday, same time, same place at 9 o'clock. This is Ask Andrew Live, so anything goes as long as it's weather-related. We'll talk about it. We'll answer it. The best way to get your question to us first is via text, and we can throw up our number on the screen, which is 309-308. Oh, that's okay. We can talk about it. Our director Brandy's working on our graphics, but normally at the bottom it would say 304. What is it? 308, 304?
309, 304.
Thank you.
309, 304, 0888. 309, 304, 0888.
One more time.
309, 304, 0888.
Okay.
Oh, that was good.
Ingrained. I'm so spoiled with it at the bottom of the screen every morning, and now I got to remember it.
Oh, it's hard.
So you can text your question to us that way, right on your cell phone. Or we're also, I think, on Facebook right now, it looks like, too. So you can put your question in the chat section.
Either one.
Yeah.
We'd love to answer it.
You get options today. We're all about options.
That's what we are here.
Yeah. It's like a buffet of weather knowledge. We have everything you need to know. So should we kick off first with the severe weather threat that's coming up for Friday?
Why don't we?
Yeah, we have a lot to dive into. Oh, that's okay. We're still here. No worries. She's going to reboot our system, our weather system here. Maybe. We're still here, folks. Don't go anywhere. We may be in black, but we're still here. We're going to try and get these graphics back up on the screen for you.
I see one.
There we are. We're back.
We're back.
Oh, that's okay. We tried. It's Chief Meteorologist James
We got
Zahara.
a special guest here.
Yes.
I always wanted to be part of the Ask Andrew Live. How you guys doing? Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
As my pitch goes much higher every time I see you guys. I don't know why. How you guys doing? Good?
Oh, we're good, yeah.
That's a question. That's an Ask Andrew question.
Oh, there we go, right?
How's Cooper?
Oh, he's good.
That's
I don't know if he's ready for these storms, though, coming out
I
on Friday.
know. I'm going to try to be medicating my dogs. That is for sure. Yeah, a lot of changes have already taken place.
Yes.
I mean, I think the timing is going to be kind of interesting going into Friday evening. Of course, a lot of coverage that we expect to see. So I'll let you be.
All right. Are you going to school?
School visit. Yes,
visit.
going to Buffalo Elementary.
Ooh.
Talking to some kids out there. So, and of course, got to bring the beast.
Got to bring
It
Yes.
has nothing to do with me. It's all about
They want to see that truck.
which this gentleman, by the way, is going to get his first maybe try at it as well.
Oh, are we?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We're back
Could
and forth.
happen.
I just surprised him.
I didn't realize that was coming.
I will let you be.
It's like Christmas
Aw,
Day.
good to see you.
Gosh, I don't know
Christmas Day, we got a James visit.
Get back to your medication.
Oh, my goodness. Well, have fun. Safe travels to Buffalo. Should be a good group there. We may need a minute to get our composure here, but we are going to get started. We're going to talk about that.
I am not medicated, by the way.
Yeah, we don't want to put that out there.
I'm not medicated.
Your doctor's going to be calling like, Peter, what medication are you on? This is news to me. No, he's fine. You're fine. You're totally good.
Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about our storm threat as we get into Friday. We did a deep dive on this morning. We're going to give you an even deeper dive here for Ask Andrew Live. Let's start with the threat and what has changed this morning when it comes to that severe weather threat that we've got going on. So we still have a weather impact alert in place for our Friday. And what has changed is we've seen an escalation in the risk area. That is now a new 3 out of 5 risk just to the south of us. So it's getting closer. Our weather impact alert will continue to be in the same time frame here from 6 in the evening until 11 o'clock later at night. This is going to be for severe storms with very strong winds, and the need will be, of course, to just stay updated on the forecast. We have a multitude of ways for you to do that. The Storm Track 8 app. What we're doing right now on the 8 Plus app on your smart TV. We're going to be doing more updates. In fact, I'm going to do another one of these tomorrow at 9 o'clock and another one on Friday.
Another one.
Yeah.
3 days of Andrew.
So you get to see 3 straight days of me live on the 8 Plus app. And I'm not going to charge you for it.
No.
It's free.
It's free on your TV.
It is, yep.
Who could have thought?
As I said this morning, no quarters required. No. You don't have to pay anything to see the 8 Plus app, so take advantage of it. Here's the change I want to talk about. And I'm going to pause this for a second before we zoom it back in, because yesterday, you remember that 3 out of 5 was like St. Louis into the south. Well, this was kind of my fear, that we were going to get a little bit more moisture in here and some better dynamics, and they were going to lift that 3 out of 5 to the north, and that's what they did this morning. Now it's Interstate 80. So very likely to see severe weather Friday.
Yes, and I think some of the models really, especially that southeast portion here of the viewing area, that's, I think, at least some of the Euro, when it comes to lightning potential, we could be seeing some real severe storms out in that region. Again, it's impossible to forecast this far away.
Yes.
But there's, I think, a nice little trend down there to keep an eye on for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of the things that James was talking about in our editorial meeting yesterday, as he was kind of showing off some of that future lightning, which shows us a good idea of where the storms are going to be and kind of an idea of how intense they could be as well. And there was actually some good lightning going on with that activity as it was coming into southeast Iowa. So there's the setup for Friday. We're especially concerned with areas along and south of Interstate 80 for wind and a few isolated tornadoes. This is not going to be a tornado outbreak for us. Here in the Quad Cities, we don't have the right wind field for, widespread damaging tornadoes, but we do have the right winds to get some of those weaker isolated tornadoes going in some of our hometowns. So you can see right now that's only a 1 out of 5 for tornadoes. But the 3 out of 5 is for the wind, which could go up to 70 miles an hour in some cases, maybe even more, depending on how these storms develop and if they can reach into the upper levels of the atmosphere. There also is a hail risk with this too that's a little bit more elevated, but that's quarter size. So we're talking, not golf balls or anything like that. Quarter size hail looks like it could be a possibility here. I want to break down the setup on this too, because this is not going to be your typical, late spring, early summertime setup where we have a ton of storm energy.
No.
So what I'm doing is I'm breaking down all of the variables that we look at when it comes to severe weather. The only one we're not seeing on this graphic is wind shear, and that's because we're going to look at that next. But here's your minimum requirements. Yes, we've got the warmth. This is Friday night, by the way, before the storms even get here. We've got 60s, so that's warm. You need a dew point of 55 degrees or higher. We're at 57. So we're checking that box. You need some storm energy, and right now we're advertised between 500 and 1100, and that's the scale here for it. So low to moderate amounts of storm energy. There's not explosive storm energy with this system by any means here. And then also you do have a little bit of moisture, and you can see that what we call the available water. We're not going to pick up an inch of rain with this system because these storms are going to be moving at about 50 to 70 miles an hour.
Quickly intensifying,
rapidly
moving, and I guess rapidly intensifying, quickly moving systems that we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, the winds, when I show you those just up above the ground, are very, very fast. So keep that in mind. Yes, we're green check boxing a lot of things, but we don't have a ton of storm energy. So that's why, strong, long-lived, damaging tornadoes likely not on the table as we go into Friday. But this is why we're concerned with the wind. So what I'm showing you is the wind speed and direction from 5,000 feet all the way up to 18,000 feet up into the atmosphere. Keep in mind, strong to severe storms, they can get as high as 30, 40, 50
potentially
1,000 feet. And if you have the right conditions, some of these storms are capable of pulling on these winds right here at 10,000 and 18,000 feet and bringing them right down to the ground.
Right down.
Yeah. So if you look at some of the numbers as the storms are coming through between 9 o'clock Friday evening and 11 o'clock Friday evening, you're noticing 18,000 feet, nearly 80, and 80 miles an hour at 10,000 feet. So that's some strong wind that, if the storms get going and they pull on that just right, that's where we could potentially see some of those gusts realized at the ground.
Some of those nice, that down shift with it. I think, especially in this system, is something to really keep an eye on because we're going to have that cold air dropping really quick following behind the system.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Because you're talking about temperatures on Friday afternoon going well into the 70s, maybe the season's first 80s. And then the front comes through and we're cooling way down into the 50s and 60s. So that's the other reason you're going to see this episode of severe weather that's coming down as well. Let's go into Future Track and I'll show you the first run at that so you can see the timing of when this is. Again, it's after dark.
It is.
So that's why we're not seeing a ton of storm energy. This is not during the middle of the day, the warmest part of the day, but still, it's the wind that makes up for this. So the radar presentation isn't going to look like what most of you would expect it to look like, which is a solid dark red line of storms. It's going to look a little weaker than that, but I want you to focus on the arrival time and, of course, the wind that's coming in here. West of the Quad Cities, it looks like 9 o'clock or so.
Yes.
Here in the metro.
Around that 10 to 11.
10, 11, yeah. So it's getting in here pretty late, which of course, you know, a lot of folks are either out for the evening, or maybe if you're like me, you're probably calling it early at about 10 o'clock and going to bed.
That's true.
So this is one of those good examples, you know, as this comes through, that we do need to make sure that we have a way to receive any warnings later at night, especially if you're sleeping. You don't want to be asleep during a tornado warning, where we would have to, you know, worry about, are you going to be able to wake up and get to a safe space for your safety? So need a way to make sure that you're receiving those warnings as you come through, as this comes through.
Storm Track 8 app, a great option. Weather radio, a great
Weather radio is a great option, yeah.
WQ88 Plus will probably be popping stuff up on there.
Extra coverage there,
Yes,
yep, and of
we'll
course
have that
on air.
coverage there, and on air we'll be covering it. Also, I think something good to note with this system, it's a great opportunity to practice your severe weather preparedness.
That's right.
Because this is our first severe system of the season. So make sure you know you have that plan ready. Practice making sure that phone is charged, double checking the batteries on that weather radio if you got one. Making sure your basement's ready to go. You have all your preparations ready in case of these types of systems. Because this is, again, just the first of the season. We're just starting off spring here.
Exactly, yeah. So those are all good recommendations. And this is our first time, like you said, this season. We're maybe a little out of practice, just making sure we have all those bases covered, all those check boxes checked, and that we're ready to go as this comes through. Again, we're not going to be seeing violent tornadoes with this. These are weak tornadoes, but that doesn't mean you should treat them any differently with any more or less respect than you would otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it can still be dangerous no matter kind of what the situation is with these types of tornadoes.
Exactly. Any tornado is dangerous, no matter how weak it is. We all live in different structures. Some of us live in newer houses with maybe some stricter building standards. Some of us live in, you know, some not so new houses that may have some laxer building standards or may need some more work and they're not as stable. So everybody's situation is different, but all of us kind of need to follow the same protocol, if you will. Wind is also, of course, the story non-thunderstorm winds. If you look at this area of low pressure, it is going to be strengthening rapidly as it comes into the Midwest as we get into Friday. What I'm showing you are the wind gusts, but also you're seeing all these black circles around the low with lines. What those are your different increments of pressure. So the closer the lines are together, the more wind you have and the quicker the pressure changes in that region. And notice we're fairly close in lines here in the Quad Cities, but look at the Dakotas. The lines are almost
incredible
on top of each other out here. But there you see the center of low pressure, and it continues to strengthen. We were watching on network coverage this morning that some of the record low pressures, what are some of the record low pressures for Omaha, that this could potentially come close to that. And some of them go back to like 1950.
I think I saw Des Moines was in 1906,
Yeah.
05 potentially for the lowest pressure ever recorded, I believe, in March.
Way, way back.
And it's 1905, and we're only about 15 maybe millibars away from it. Some areas even closer when it comes to this system. It's such a steep gradient too that we're seeing.
It is, yeah. So this storm system, to give you an idea of how strong it is, may start challenging some of those low pressure records for the month of March. I believe that's what we were looking at. And it's no surprise. This is the month you're going to have it happen. Big differences in temperature will drive those bigger differences in pressure. But you can see we're going to have wind gusts already by Friday afternoon as I back this up here that are going to be likely touching, if not exceeding seeing 40 miles an hour. Probably in Des Moines, we're probably looking at 40 plus
40,
mile an
40
hour.
plus, some stray gusts up to 50 potentially.
Yeah, so probably going to need a wind advisory for parts of Friday. Areas to our west, including maybe parts of your area, because you're helping out with Des Moines right now, may even have a high wind warning. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Especially for to the north, where they have more of the flat plain land
Yeah.
area, that wind just blows, especially through that farmland up there. So that's something to really keep an eye on as we get closer to Friday.
Yeah, this thing is really going to be hustling. So windy, warm, and then stormy. Let me give you a timeline on what we're expecting to learn in the next 24, 48, 72 hours. So this is our tracking and preparing timeline when it comes to how we're going to track this severe weather event. So today we're going to keep watching. We know that this is going to be a late evening event for sure.
Yes.
The timing has really, solidified. But tomorrow we're going to learn even more kind of intricate details about what these storms are going to do. The Storm Prediction Center is going to give us the hail zone, the tornado zone,
the wind zone.
The wind zone, yeah. We're going to be able to show you all of those colorful maps with the blues and the purple and the red and all that. So we'll be able to see where the best probability of seeing a tornado will be. We'll be able to see, are we talking weak tornadoes, which I think we are? Or is there going to be a zone maybe a little bit further south that could have some stronger tornado potential? Maybe in downstate Illinois.
That's a strong potential.
And Arkansas, Missouri, perhaps. So we're going to learn that tomorrow. What I'm most focused on is the wind zone, because I'm wondering if tomorrow we may get a wind zone by the Storm Prediction Center that's maybe that hatched color where it's got the dashes indicating widespread damaging wind gusts greater than 70 miles an hour.
Yes. I would not be surprised if we see that.
That's what I'm wondering.
Especially with that shear that we're seeing and the downdraft potential with it. I think that's very great possibility.
Yeah, so we'll see. We're going to get that first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll be sure to let you know. Very high confidence by tomorrow. Friday is all about action. Like Peter said, making sure you have your plan ready to go. Do you have our app on your phone? Is it loaded? Are the push notifications turned on for it so you can get the warnings? Do you know where you're going to take shelter? Do you have a plan for power outages?
Yep.
What about if you get separated as a family unit? Do you have a place you can meet together in case something were to happen?
That's a good one, too.
Knowing
some
how to
snacks.
communicate. Some snacks, yes.
Snacks and some water, bottled water down there. It's always a good, safe idea as well.
Get that emergency kit ready to go. So there's a lot going on here as we go through Friday. We've got a couple of quiet days, and then we'll talk about that weather impact alert for Friday. By the way, Friday, some of you could touch 80 degrees for the first time, especially with some of these storms coming in later. You think any hometowns out your way in Des Moines? 80, maybe?
Lamoni, potentially. Yeah. Lamoni, I'm keeping an eye on. They're actually only 3 degrees off a record high with my forecast right now. And if we saw what happened on, Monday, where we just swung upwards.
Soared.
So I'm thinking this is kind of a very similar setup until that system and the moisture makes its way through. Very similar setup to what we saw on Monday. I would not be surprised if these temperatures get a little bit warmer and jump towards that 80 mark. We're already going above guidance from what the models are showing with our forecast here, based on Monday's situation.
Yep, everything's been warmer.
Everything's been warmer every single day this week so far.
Ground has been a little bit thawed out. I mean, I don't think, I checked yesterday, there's no more frost in the ground here in the Quad Cities. We're completely melted, by the way. If you're curious what the record high is for here on Friday, it's 78 back in 2012. So there's a good chance we will set a new record.
Record watch.
On Friday, yes. Very good
Everything
chance.
on Friday.
I tell you, this is March in the Quad Cities.
It is.
You get a little bit of everything coming through here.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yes, that you like to say.
I love that.
If you're going to be going out to the St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday, this storm system will have moved through. The only thing you have to be concerned about Saturday is the wind. We're still going to see winds up to 40 miles an hour. At least the temperatures will be in the 50s, so it's not going to be cold. You're still going to want a jacket. There won't be much sun. But
not much sun and maybe a little bit of a wind chill there, too.
Yeah. The one thing you'll want to watch, if you can, is as this parade goes across the Centennial Bridge.
That's something to keep an eye on.
Because with that wind, I have a feeling some pieces of float are going to go floating away, possibly into the Mississippi River.
And then float down the Mississippi the opposite way.
We've had that happen in years past. We've had pieces of float fly off, and then it goes into the river. So if you are participating, make sure you've got everything secured down. You're probably going to want something to hang on to as well as you're going across that bridge.
That's true.
It's always something with that parade. It's either freezing cold, it's windy, and those are really the two options we have.
Oh, really?
Or it's raining.
I feel like there's been some rainy ones recently.
There's been some rain. I think it snowed during there too. So.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I give them kudos because when you do a parade in March, you got to expect everything. It's like people that do a wedding in March, an outdoor wedding in March, nonetheless.
No.
You won't see me doing that.
No.
Take note, Marcus. No, he knows. He knows.
Oh goodness. Yeah,
So with
it's kind of like the girls' basketball tournament.
yeah.
Des Moines too. Every year there's some sort of weather that goes on.
That's right, yeah, and that's a huge event out there
event.
that draws hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah,
High school girls event.
it's a big sport.
It is.
So that's your update on Friday's weather. Again, we're going to keep tracking that. We'll do another one of these, not an Ask Andrew live, but we'll do another little live update regarding the severe weather threat tomorrow at 9, and we'll do another one on Friday.
Yes.
Because with each new day, we get more information.
More information.
Yeah, and we want everyone to have the most information. The more information you have, the more knowledgeable you are, and the more prepared you'll be.
And the more prepared you'll be. Be
You'll know what to
prepared.
be. Yeah, I always say knowledge is power. You know, folks that have storm anxiety, they're worried about storms. The more you know about the incoming storm threat and what's going to happen, what's likely going to happen, you know, the more that kind of helps ease your anxiety. You don't want a whole lot of mystery out there.
Why do you think we started in this business?
Exactly.
We were both scared of thunderstorms and weather when we were growing up.
That's right.
Now we understand it.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Calm as a cucumber. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
We can go ahead and start taking some of your questions here. We got about 9 minutes, so.
Oh, take a deep breath. That was,
Yeah.
I think, our longest breakdown on what we have done in a while.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I love digging into the details
so much
because
more fun.
there's so many things you can show about severe weather, and that really kind of allows you folks at home to not only learn something, but now you know.
You know, now you're prepared,
Yeah.
seeing what we're seeing.
Yeah. All that data.
All that data. Now let's get right to these questions. Tim from Moline. With these storms coming in late after sundown and we lose heating of the day, are these storms being fueled by the daytime heating? And is it along a cold front pushing in from west to the east? Because these damaging winds exceed potentially 70 miles per hour in the Quad Cities and around the metro.
Yeah, so this is definitely what we call a wind-driven event, or that wind shear. It's coming in after dark. We don't have a ton of storm energy, and yes, it is ahead of a cold front. The difference is the area of low pressure is very close to us.
Yes.
Just to the northwest. So the cold front swinging through, it's using all of those strong winds associated with the low pressure just above the ground. Some of those getting to the ground level themselves as the storms move through. That's why you have your wind threat. And again, you can't ever rule out an isolated tornado when you got a squall line coming through. They're quick little spin-ups on the leading edge of it. They're not your supercell thunderstorms where they're standing on their own and you're going to get these EF1 or 2 or 3 tornadoes. These are the quick spin-ups. Most of them are EF0 to EF1 in intensity.
Yes.
So something we have to watch. And they're tricky too because they like to hide in the line.
It's very hard to see that little couplet in the forecast.
It is.
On the radar.
Yeah, so you really have to use quite an eye, and that's why our plan most likely for Friday here is to have likely James here. I'll probably be here. Peter, I think you're thinking of coming in too as well. So all of us are going to be, the more eyes we can get on the radar, the better, essentially, in that kind of situation.
All hands on deck, kind of just to make sure we can help you guys stay as safe as possible.
Exactly.
That's always the goal.
Yeah. First one of the year.
First one of the year. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited. About
just hopefully no damage.
Yeah,
we don't
no
want
damage.
We're never excited for damage or anyone losing their lives or uprooting their lives.
No, but for us, it's fun to study this synopsis.
It's the study of the science.
Yeah, study of the science, I guess, is a better way to put that.
Exactly. Oh, you're all right.
Marcus from Knoxville. What makes tornadoes so hard to predict?
So,
hey, Marcus.
Good morning, by the way. Yes, he's going to be watching a little bit later. I think he's out making a delivery right now. But we are expecting, yes, a couple of isolated tornadoes. But what makes tornadoes hard to predict is first you have to nail down where the storm's going to form. That's issue number one. And when it's in a squall line like what's coming in here on Friday, that makes it even harder to predict because you have all these storms in a line that are interacting with each other. And that really, really, really makes it hard. Now, if the storms were on their own, like a supercell typically is, where it's not involved in a line, the storm is just out on its own, and maybe a storm north of it or south of it, but it's got a several big mile gap between them, those are a little easier to predict. But when you've got a line like this, anything goes anywhere at any time, essentially.
And because it's moving so quick, too, it's hard to even forecast even the little data with that, how much rainfall you can see. You get wider ranges because of just how quick it moves, what little pocket of air you get that has that same wind speed, or if it has the amount of precipitation needed. It's so kind of finicky.
Exactly. Great. I mean, the storm motion, like we said, 50 to 70 miles an hour.
So quick.
Very, very fast. So that also plays a factor in what makes it so difficult as well. Great question.
Great question. Tyler was wondering, with the timing still a couple of days away, could the threat of severe weather extend further north, and what are the best threats of severe weather possible?
We could still see a little bit of a northward jaunt in that enhanced risk, that 3 out of 5. Right now, we're tying it to Interstate 80, just because that's where confidence is quite high that we're going to have enough moisture and we're going to have enough wind shear that this area is especially vulnerable to those higher wind gusts and a few isolated tornadoes. But should that moisture creep a little bit further to the north, this would have to creep a little bit further to the north as well. So time will tell. I would not be surprised if it moved further north. Do I think it's a guarantee right now? No, because it's a little bit more conditional when it comes to conditions to the north of us. You also have to remember too, our southernmost hometowns can typically get the warmest out of our entire region. So hence a little more energy, a little more moisture, especially quantities and points to the south. So we'll see what happens. We get another update, by the way, from the Storm Prediction Center later today.
As I said, come on.
I got to check because I always forget. This is new this year, by the way.
Changed it.
Yeah, we now get updates on the day 3 outlook twice a day.
Twice a day.
It used to be just once, but now it's twice. So it looks like
11?
the 1930.
1930.
And right now it is 14:25 for those of you doing military time.
Yes. Not too far off. About 5 hours by the current.
About 2:30.
Yeah, by
by
the current, James will have it.
Yeah.
So that'll be up there by then.
So definitely check back. That's a good idea, the current, because, yeah, James will have the latest update on that day 3 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We'll see if they nudge it. I don't think you're going to see too much movement from this today, but tomorrow you may see a little more play in this, and especially into Friday as we get closer.
Yes. It's all going to be dependent on that dew point, which is kind of had a pretty steep gradient cutoff as well.
Yes.
With this system.
Yes.
It's inching up, but that 55 number has been pretty hard to find, except for, at least in our viewing area, right below that 80 line is where we're just barely getting above that 55 dew point.
Yes. And you got to think, too, we haven't greened up yet, so plants aren't adding moisture to the atmosphere yet. So we really do depend on the strong winds out of the south to get that Gulf moisture up here. And that takes a lot of wind to do that. We've got a lot of wind, but the question is, what's the quality of that moisture by the time it gets here?
That's true. And how much of it will be dropped on its way up?
Yep. How much do we lose?
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, next update 2:30 this afternoon. And yeah, tune into the current, and James will have that for us.
James will have all that?
Yeah.
Connie from Aledo was wondering, looks like this storm for Friday has moved north. What does it look like for Aledo?
Yeah, so Aledo absolutely in the 3 out of 5 risk. I mean, you're south of Interstate 80, so I would plan on some strong wind gusts, again, that could top 70 miles an hour, an isolated tornado or 2. Now, I know it's early in the season, so a lot of us probably don't have our patio furniture out yet. No. But if you did go ahead and put that out there, you're going to want to secure that down. Any kind of loose objects you've got going on outside in your yard, just make sure that those are secured down and ready to go for some really strong winds as we get into Friday evening.
Yes.
The favor is after dark, so again, keep that in mind. If you're going to bed early before the storms get here, just make sure you have a way to be awoken if you get under a warning.
Yep. Make sure your alarm's on your, I guess your alarm, but your ringer's on your phone for those push notifications from the Storm Track 8 app.
Very important.
It's important.
I know it's tempting to turn it off sometimes because I've had a couple of times where I'm sleeping and I have the notifications on and it says heavy rain has been detected in your area. I'm like, somebody's in my house. Because it's a very deep male voice that's recorded for that app. So if you've done like I've done, and sometimes I'll turn those notifications off, just make sure you turn those back on before you get to Friday.
Yes, it'll be important.
Very handy, yes.
And it's better to wake up and be safe than not wake up.
Than the alternative. Exactly.
Anne was wondering, what is the difference between a wind zone and a derecho?
Between a wind zone and a derecho. So a wind zone, what we're calling that, is our damaging wind probability.
Yes.
And we don't have that from the Storm Prediction Center today because that's only on their day 1 and day 2 outlooks.
Yes.
So tomorrow, what I'm going to be able to show you is the damaging wind map. I may have an example that I can pull up. In fact, I do. I don't know if this one's updated. This may show today's or it may show nothing at all. But when we're talking about the wind zone, this is the map that I'm talking about. And I don't think there's anything there because it was probably made for a day that isn't valid for today. If you want to see an example, I can change the date here to tomorrow, which of course is Thursday, and we can navigate our way to the south Maybe it'll let me do it. There it is.
there
Okay.
it is.
So this is what we're going to see this product in our area tomorrow.
Shift up.
Yeah, and this is where the Storm Prediction Center is gauging the probability of seeing that wind damage. So today, you can see possible over parts of Texas, likely for Dallas. What we're probably going to see tomorrow is you're going to see at least the blue, in my mind. You may even see the purple or the pink, that 3. We're probably going to see that 3, and you're going to see a whole bunch of dashed lines and involved in it as well. So what that's going to tell us tomorrow with the wind zone is where are we going to see the strongest winds? What corridor of our region will see the strongest winds? And again, we'll get that tomorrow. They don't do that on the day 3 outlook, but it's pretty certain, you know, when you're in a 3 out of 5, your wind is probably going to be the 3
Yes.
as we get into
2
tomorrow.
pretty much guaranteed numbers.
Yeah. And then, of course, we know what a derecho is. That is a long-lasting, damaging wind event. Is tomorrow going to be a derecho? It's hard to tell. We can't forecast them in advance because they're classified after the fact. So I don't think tomorrow we can say is going to be a derecho at this time. It looks like it's going to form in Iowa and then get here and
make its way towards Wisconsin.
to the east and maybe fall apart after it gets to Chicago. We'll see. If that's the case, I don't think it's long enough to be classified as a derecho. But again, we'll see what happens.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Anything else?
I think that's all we
of
got.
it?
We'll get all of the questions. We got all the questions answered.
Awesome.
We'll be back here tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, we're going to do this again all over tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll do it on Friday too, like you said. And lots and lots to talk about. You can join us later this morning for GMQC at 11. Continue to dive into that. And don't forget the current and 5, 6, 10 o'clock tonight with James.
All of the above.
Yeah, be interesting to see that new outlook from the Storm Prediction Center coming out later this afternoon. Until next time, have a great Wednesday, Quad Cities. We'll see you coming up later this morning.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.